Hello there, back again with Sue and David, and today we're going to talk about what I think kills relationships, and that is having expectations that you have about the relationship or about your marriage, and if it's not clearly spoken about with your partner, then obviously you're going to get unmet expectations because he or she doesn't know what you're wanting, and therefore then it brings a whole heap of mess and pain and anger and frustration because of one unmet expectations, but also the frustration on the part of the other person because they don't know what the heck's going on.
Yeah, and so, I guess I was going to say those expectations can come out of different cultural backgrounds or different sets of expectations. Everybody comes from a different family. So even if you have the same general cultural background, your parents will have interacted with each other in quite different ways from your partners, for example. So you will have expectations, unless you've really thought it through or talked it through with your partner, ideally. If you've had that conversation, that discussion to say, what's been good about your relationship or your life so far? What would you like to change? How would you do differently and so on? What do you imagine for us being together and so on? So having that conversation really helps, but there's always going to be those unwritten things. And, if you're from more dramatically different cultures, from different countries, from different ethnic backgrounds, different religious backgrounds, that obviously can be a thing as well. There are certain expectations about how people behave toward their partners and towards the in-laws and towards the kids and everybody else. Yeah. So, working through those expectations is really helpful.
Yeah, and actually identifying in your own self what expectations you do have, and then to actually talk about, to identify them and then realize that, hey, no, this is my stuff. So sometimes I would, love for you to, I don't know, just come at times and give me a massage or something like this. Now, if I expected that on a fairly regular basis and I wasn't getting that, then it's more likely that I would sort of start getting angry because you're not thinking of me, you're not caring for me, you're not showing me.
Well, but again, and particularly if that's not communicated, if unfortunately, and it's kind of a gender stereotype that guys need it to be verbalized, but it's not just guys. That really everybody needs to know what's going on in your head, because certainly if you're getting cold and angry and upset because I'm not doing something and I don't know that I'm meant to do it, or if I do the massage every 3 months and expect fulsome praise because I thought of it, is another expectation, right?
But, and it's your expectation and things like this, because I thought exactly the same thing, is that, when you cook a meal, and it's just a quick serve thank you, and you're sort of going, that was just not appreciated. Well, I'm not doing it again because she doesn't appreciate this. Then it then becomes this roller coaster of blame a little bit again.
Case with the defence. That was a general you. I actually cook really well, and I don't expect extra praise. But
wow. Wow.
So, I think that's right. That that's another set of expectations. Not about just doing things, but how things are received and so on. And obviously, if you make being grateful and saying thank you and praising the quality of the food that comes up every day and all of that kind of stuff, part of the relationship.
But I think I think that a lot of times it's not about the act itself. It's not about you either putting out the bins or doing taking emptying the dishwasher or sort of something like this. It's almost like there's always that feeling behind it of, well, you're not doing that, so you mustn't love me, or you're not doing that because of something, sort of something that I'm not getting the vibe of being loved or feeling appreciated or feeling whatever the feeling is behind it. So a lot of times people might sort of say, you don't do this, whatever this is, but it's not that
that's not
tangible. That's not the real
Yeah.
issue. It is the feeling behind it of, I don't feel loved or supported or anything else of not doing this job or this task or this whatever.
And that actually comes, well, it's related to the topic of a transactional relationship, which we'll talk about in another one of these videos another time, but it's also related to that set of expectations. And a lot of it comes out of traditional gender roles. So, your examples were me taking out the bins, because that tends to be a traditionally masculine chore, doesn't necessarily have to be, and women cooking and cleaning, all that stuff. So, part of that is just our society's in transition, that we're actually moving from a quite traditional to some of those roles are up for grabs. How do we renegotiate those as well?
More egalitarian type of roles in the house.
But not even egalitarian in the sense of just let's take all the chores and split them evenly. It's traditionally masculine chores can be feminine and vice versa as well. It's
true, because I do most of the fixing in our house, because I make stuff and furniture and everything like that, whereas you sort of do more of the fixing of the computers and
it's kind of a play to your strengths thing.
And I think that it is playing to your strengths, but also just realizing that if you have a sort of set of expectations from from your partner, make sure that you clearly define and talk it over with your partner, so that they know of your expectations that you have, and you can negotiate. And it would just save you so much stress, so much anger, frustration, everything else.
Well, I think the other thing is that you don't negotiate that once when you're courting and when you first get married, and then it's the same forever. It'll change. There'll be times when one of you's working and the other's not, or when one of you has a particular press at work and the other not, or with kids coming along, kids being different ages. It's a whole variety of things. Kids leaving the nest. There's always that need to just renegotiate and just kind of be thinking about it. But I think it is connected to the notion of locus of control that we talked about another time as well, that I own my expectations, and I need to be able to reflect on my expectations and see whether they're reasonable, see whether they're fair or not, and you know what I mean. That rather than it just being something that's unreflective and reactive, but that just gets projected onto your partner.
And I think that if you are you cling too hard to the expectations that you have, and they're not doing it, then it can be that you look through this filter of things that he or she is not doing, that you miss what they are doing. So pull back on your expectations and then notice what they do in the relationship, and enjoy that. So I think that's it for now. So we'll catch you later. Cheers.